Bio Seaweed Gel. Oh gosh, okay, so I was gonna make this video back in November, but then I did my nails at 1 in the morning before catching a flight to Miami at like 5 a.m. the next day. So that was a terrible idea because obviously I rushed through it, and then it turns out I had got some top coat on my skin and I didn't notice for like almost a whole day. And then of course I get to Miami, I immediately go and I buy some acetone, but by then the damage is done. So I got the worst allergic reaction I had to date. And that was actually like my second reaction ever. And it was so bad. Not only did it itch like crazy, but the part where I actually got the top coat, cured the top coat on my skin, started to swell really bad, and it was filled with like this clear pus that I had to squeeze out, and then I guess I popped a blood vessel. It was a nightmare. The reaction was pretty localized to where I had cured the product, which was my middle, and then it had spread to this finger and this finger. The rest were fine, but it was terrible. So I was like, okay, I cannot make a video about this. And I was too scared to try again for like the longest. I ended up returning like half of my Bio Seaweed stuff, and it took like 3 months. I was trying other stuff, putting out other videos for you guys, and it took like 3 months for me to finally say, okay, it's time to try this again, because I did still have some of their polishes, their Unity polishes to be specific, and I absolutely love them. So I have them on right now, and let me see if it'll focus here. But their colors, especially as bases, are the absolute best. They go on stunning, and the shine is incredible. I was very surprised I actually did not have to use a top coat. So finally, you know, spring was coming, and this color that I have on, it's called Taro Slush, and it's just like the perfect like springy lilac. So I was like, I need to try this again, and it's time to finally make this video. So here we are. Bio Seaweed Gel is a company that is based out of Canada, and they claim to be hypoallergenic. All of the SCSs right there on the website, readily available, so I love that. One thing that is very odd, and you know what, I probably should have tried that in this video, not on my own nails, but maybe on a swatch stick, is that they claim that their product can cure with the sun. Yeah, I don't know about that. And I feel like it's a bit irresponsible when you are saying that you have a hypoallergenic product to then tell people that you can cure it with the sun. I don't know, it just seems a little bit irresponsible. It doesn't exactly sit right with me. But anyway, moving on. Everything else I do like, that they list all their ingredients very clearly. Their formulation seems to be pretty great. It is formulated with 0 methacrylates. So I was very confused as to why I was reacting, because I have now taken an allergy patch test, and none of my confirmed allergens are listed in the ingredients. So I was very confused as to how that initial reaction happened. But anyway, I decided I need to try again. We'll do a quick unboxing of all the products that I got from them to try out. I didn't film the first manicure, and I really wish I would have. Like I said, it was 1 a.m. I was just trying to get it over with. I knew I had a trip coming up. I had to do my nails. Figured kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And it did not work out in my favor. So I will just kind of show you a bit of the process there. And then the second manicure I did film, so we'll go through that as well. Well, let's get started. Okay, so we've got this absolutely gorgeous box here, and we're gonna go ahead and get started on opening up. So while going through the unboxing, I wanted to just show you guys the consistency and talk about the quality a bit, because these polishes are absolutely amazing. I love the consistency. It is very thin, which is very easy to work with, and you can work in very thin layers without flooding the cuticle. Typically, I prefer thicker polishes like Melody Susie Fleur Weed, just because I do a lot of nail art. And I will say, these are not the best for nail art, especially the Unity polishes, because you're gonna have to buff them after every layer, since they do dry glossy and no wipe, because it's meant to have the top coat built in. That is totally fine though. I can either buff it, but typically I got these to really use as base shades anyway. I don't plan on doing nail art with them. That's why I have the Fleur Weed collection. It can be done, and I did do it, but it's just not the best experience. Definitely buff the nail first. Other than that, these are absolutely amazing quality. My favorites from the set were definitely Sirius and Capella, and that is the silver shade and the gold shade. They are just absolutely stunning, and when light hits them, like from a camera flash, they will literally sparkle. It is incredible. Last but not least, we have the lamp, and I did ultimately end up returning the lamp, not because there's anything wrong with it, but I feel like I have better lamps. It's just pretty basic. So I do typically prefer to stick with the lamp that matches the brand of polishes, but I also just felt like I had other high performing lamps and didn't need to have like 5 lamps. So here's that finished 1 a.m. manicure, and on the right is the next day when I was on the plane, and you can see how swollen it is. And here we are on day 5, and this is once it started to heal, it was painful. So I think now you can see why I waited so long to try again. I was a little traumatized, but to this day, I have no idea what caused such a severe reaction. Was it that I cured their top coat on my skin? In a very non-scientific fashion of me, I cannot for the life of me remember how I adhered what I used to adhere the tips. And I am pretty confident now that that is what did it. We're gonna try again with the mani that I have on, and I want to show you guys that process. I'm using the Model Ones. I think that's how you say it. I've been saying Modelones the whole time, but I'm pretty sure it's Model Ones. I heard Noonie Torres say it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's how you say it? Anyway, you want to make sure that these fit sidewall to sidewall. I absolutely adore these tips because they are very inexpensive, but they work so well, and they're pre-etched. Now, even though they are pre-etched, I still etch them myself because I just feel like that's better retention. Speaking of retention, I am using Tack by Light Elegance, and this is the absolute best bonder in existence, and your nails will stay on forever with this bonder. I have 100% confirmed that I do not react at all to any Light Elegance product, so this would not skew the results in any way. I do also have to add that I will be using Jimmy Gel to adhere the tips. Bio Seaweed Gel pretty recently came out with a builder in a bottle line, but it wasn't out when I placed my first order with them, so I'm not going to be using that here, and maybe I'll try that in a short video later down the line. So here I am just going through the regular process of applying Gel X tips, and I have a video on that, so I'm not going to go over the whole thing. Now that the tips are on, we are going to file them down just to create a rough surface. If you do not do this, the entire layers of polish will just come off like you just formed a whole other nail. Ask me how I know. We're gonna also blend it into the cuticle area. This is also really important. If you want a natural looking nail that it looks like it's coming out of your nail bed, you need to blend the tip. I prefer to do this with an e-file. I know some people use acetone. It honestly depends for me how far away I place it. I don't typically use acetone. I find that blending it with the sanding band is more than enough to create a natural look. After that, we're gonna grab our hand file. I use 180 grit, and I use the 80 side to create that shape that I want. Now, these are pre-shaped, but I still just like to shape them a tad bit. I shorten them a little bit. You don't have to do this because, again, if you're doing Gel X, normally people do this because it's pre-shaped, but these were a little too long, so I wanted to kind of shorten them a little bit. Then we're going to hit it with some alcohol and start our process. Now I'm going to slow the speed down here because I want to show you just how smoothly this goes on. Look at that. It is stunning. It is so easy to work with. It self-levels. Truly such a great quality gel. Look at that. This is honestly one of the smoothest gels that I've worked with. I would say it rivals Light Elegance in the smoothness, and I don't know how to explain it, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Like when the gel goes on, like how much do you kind of have to pull the brush, you know what I mean? All right, so layer number 2, and you can already tell it's starting to get opaque, but it is still an absolutely gorgeous sheer. We don't want it to get too opaque, but I'm really just not a fan of having a visible smile line. So I want to cover that as much as possible and kind of give it at least 3 coats. Last and final coat. And again, you can see how buildable this is and just how easy it is to work. This took me, I think, probably was one of the fastest applications I've ever done. It's just such a nice product to work with, truly. It almost kind of feels like cheating because it just self-levels so well that it's just really easy to put on. All right, so this is how we're looking, and I wanted to show you guys exactly what I meant by it's difficult to do nail art. So I tried to do a Frenchie with a darker purple, and in theory, this I thought was gonna look good, but as you'll see, I do struggle a little bit. I have to keep wetting my brush because this is such a thin product. And because the nail was so shiny, and again, this is my fault, I should have just buffed the nail, but I wanted to see what it would be like to just try to do art like right from the get-go, as you can with most other polishes. But again, because this is an all-in-one and it already has the built-in top coat, you have to buff it to create a rough surface, or at least do a matte top coat if you don't want to buff. Otherwise, you're gonna have a really hard time with nail art because you can feel how slippery it is and how much the product is not sticking to what you're doing. So ultimately, I ended up just trashing this whole idea. I just wiped it off completely and just chose to leave them as is because this color is just so stunning. It's like the classic clean girl spring color, and I wanted to just leave it as is, and also just go for simplicity because again, I was really trying to test if this product was going to flare me, and I was still scared from the last flare up. So literally all I did was wipe it off, and this is the final result. I did not add any top coat, and the shine is stunning. So I was blown away by how well this actually works because I swore I was going to do a top coat anyway, and then I was like, wait, I really don't have to. So these here are the next day, no reaction, not even a tingle, so it's looking good. All right, day 3 and still no sign of allergy, not even a tingle. And I have to say that I am so beyond impressed with the Unity polish because I thought, no way, I'm still gonna need a top coat. I have not needed a top coat. This is just the Unity, and look at that shine. Absolutely incredible. I am glad that I chose to try Bio Seaweed again because after that first reaction, I'm gonna look at the ingredients. I know that they are a little different at what was on their top coat because I did react pretty badly to that. It must be the top coat because when I did just the Unity without using a top coat. So yeah, I think I counted them out too early. I'm glad I chose to give them another chance, and I'm definitely gonna order some more colors.